The summer of 2022 is proving to be a summer of blackouts.
Heat waves scorching much of the country, and now thousands are in the dark.
There is a high risk of energy emergencies this summer.
Ohio suffered rolling brownouts a few weeks ago. Now it is getting very dicey once again in Texas.
What's up, everybody? It's the Common Sense Investor coming at you with another video. And this video is back to the basics part 2. Okay? Facts over feelings. Where we went wrong. Right? Last time we talked, in Back to the Basics, we talked about how, using Robinhood for example, the clearinghouses. Robinhood was a self-clearinghouse, but this time we'll talk about Apex, because Apex is the clearinghouse for Webull and a few other with brokers that were in Apex. Okay? So, what does that mean? That means that from what we learned in the last video, Back to the Basics Part 1, they ran out of shares, okay? And they could not locate any other shares, and they kept getting calls over and over. Buy more, buy more. When I say call people, I mean using your app too. But over and over and over, buy more, buy more, buy more. Until eventually they were out of supply. They couldn't find any to borrow, so they turned off the buy button. Now, way back in the day, about 9 months ago, 10 months ago, I explained all this to y'all, that the sell button was still active. And it amazes me today how people will act surprised about this. The buy button's gone. The sell button's still active. Yes. That means you've won. That means you've won. Now, let me come up and look you in the eyes, because this is kind of where it gets difficult. Then we're going to go back and I'm going to show you the overview. Okay? When Robinhood turned off their buy button, they said we are out of shares. We have taken so many IOUs that we're going under. And they stopped selling the shares. Okay, whatever shares you were in that the buy button disappeared on, boom, you win. But what about the other clearinghouses? What about your other self-clearings like Morgan Stanley? What about Fidelity? They still have shares now, right? Because they're bringing this puppy home. Still on. Here we are back to, we got Apex and Robinhood, and when Apex fell, it took these brokerages with it. They had no more shares to sell, and they could not locate anymore. And then when Robinhood fell, that was even better for us. Okay? Why? Because now we're down to 2 clearinghouses that have declared no more shares. Now, I interpret that to mean, and because I got a Apex chart that shows that Apex had hit the top, the pinnacle, 516 shares. I mean, they had the whole float locked up over there on Apex. All right? And I believe that when the whole float got locked up over at Apex, that's when they killed the buy button. I think it was the same thing at Robinhood. And I believe it's what causes it to happen with each and every clearinghouse. That as that buy button disappears, it's because they're holding the float. And they know that they can't borrow no more. All right, because they claiming that they own them all. That's what that means. So now we got 2 brokerage firms. We got Robinhood self-clearing, and we got Apex clearing. They both went down. What we were supposed to do, and this is where we went wrong, we were supposed to turn our attention next to the next clearinghouse or the next self-clearing broker dealer that we deal with. We were to turn our attention to them, and we were to begin to buy as much as we can, until we hammer fucking Fidelity, until Fidelity finally killed the buy button. Why? Because they knew they were too over leveraged, they can't take any more, and that would have been it. Then we would have had 3 clearinghouses down, and we would have continued this on until each and every broker would have turned off their buy button. It would have been a complete blackout. Why? Because every broker that turned off their buy button at that time was saying We cannot sell it. We don't have the shares. We can't locate the shares. So over on Fidelity, they still selling? Yeah. So they can still locate shares? Yeah, that's your ass, Fidelity. Boom, we're supposed to have hit them next. All over the place. Till eventually they would have blacked out the buy button and the squeeze would have been on, because every share would have been accounted for. Then, after that, all we would have had to do was sit back and wait them out, because nobody could have sold any because there were no shares to sell. The buy button's gone. Say, well, where's the buying pressure come from to make it go up, CSI? That's going to be getting back to the basics, part 3. And if we would have took this approach, this would have brought the squeeze, people. Why? Because with all the brokers with their buy buttons off, that interest payment for all those long shares was piling up on them. All we have to do is sit there, just like we were supposed to. Sit there and wait. Sit there and wait. Let them pay them fucking interest payments. Sit there and wait. There ain't no more shares to buy. And we would have won. When the interest payment got high enough, they would have started closing out their positions and the squeeze would have started. Now, we'll go back to the basics 3. We're going to talk about what went wrong exactly, how we can not make the same mistakes again, because this squeeze is still possible, but we have to understand exactly what we're doing. With that, love y'all. Be blessed. I'll see you in Back to the Basics 3.
I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I got eyes in the back of my head, I'm seeing. Take me for granted and you know I'm leaving. I'ma take what's mine with the webs I'm weaving. I could take this crowd from seeing to believing. Got a taste for blood and my tongue keeps bleeding from the word.